Good evening. The webinar will begin in a few minutes. Please take note of the house cleaning items on your screen to complete before starting this evening. All participants' video and audio will be muted this evening. Please take a moment to rename yourself for the question and answer segment this evening. Good evening and welcome to the first year of high school webinar. My name is Nick Boudre, the supervisor for career and college programs at St. Clair County RESA, also representing Blue Water College Access Network. Tonight's webinar is the third and final event of the Spring Essentials webinar series that will conclude the 2020 and 21 series that began last fall to help seniors and their families with their career planning and college planning for after graduation, as well as the high school underclassmen to transition their career and college planning to next school year. Tonight, we'll be focusing on our current 8th grade students in the class of 2025 as they transition to not only their first year of high school next fall, but also the beginning of their career and college planning during their freshman year. Doing so, you'll put yourself at a competitive advantage your senior year for the items such as college applications and scholarships, and ensure successful employment in the highest in demand, highest paying careers in the future. And your career college planning needs to begin the first year of high school. Our goal tonight is to help provide you with a better understanding of this process to help develop a plan for the next 4 years and beyond. To do so, we have an amazing panel here this evening from our current high school students from our local high schools from across the county to share not only their stories adjusting to high school, their successes, and their own unique career and college plans. We have 3 seniors with us this evening, 2 juniors and 1 freshman student, and also a couple siblings that will also share their family experience. The format will be a 30 to 40 minute conversation with these panelists, followed by a question and answer segment where the audience can ask questions via the chat feature at the bottom of their screen. Feel free to ask questions throughout the segment as well, but we'll wait until the segment to read them out loud to the panelists. Some suggestions this evening as you listen to each panelist. Ask yourself, what do I want the next 4 years of high school to look like for me? Next, what are my career interests? Where can I go to college to receive the college education and or training to get this career? And last but not least, what classes can I take? What activities can I participate in? And what organizations, clubs, or teams can I join to help prepare me for after graduation? Let's get the evening started with our first guest as I spotlight their video. Let me see here. All right. Well, let me introduce our first 2 guests. We have Allie and Mackenzie Shagney coming from Port Huron Northern High School. Allie is a senior and Mackenzie is a freshman. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. How are you two doing?
We're good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much. I will also say you are the first sister combo that has been on our panel so far. But there's also another sister team with us this evening. So thank you so much. I think the first question I'm going to throw out is actually going to be both of you. And we'll start with you, Allie. When you started high school, when did you start preparing for college as you're about to graduate from high school here in the next couple weeks?
Yeah, so I knew all along that I wanted to play basketball in college. So I think I started preparing earlier than some of my friends did. So I think freshman year basketball season, which would have been winter, around probably January, February is when I started looking into colleges that I knew I'd be interested in, and I knew I wanted to stay close to home. So I started preparing and looking up colleges that were close to home that I would be interested in playing basketball. And so that's really when I started.
Very good. Mackenzie, now you're at the other end of the high school, just finishing up your freshman year of high school. And, have you started planning for college? And if so, when did you start that planning yourself?
Yes, I have started planning for college. And I would say probably scheduling my classes my 8th grade year. I looked at what would benefit me for going into maybe what I wanted to study in college. And like Allie said, going into sports, I determined maybe how far I want to go. So that was a big thing.
Very good. Well, Mackenzie, I'm going to stay right with you, but this question is going to be to both of you. So what was it like transitioning to high school your first year, academically, socially, and beyond that?
Academically, it was a lot different. I would say the non-AP classes are a lot like middle school. Just turn your work in, you'll be fine. AP classes are a little bit more difficult, but it's a nice challenge. And socially, I think a lot of freshmen, or this could just be me, I was really panicked about, a lot of older kids and really big kids. But it's freshmen, it's nice because we're pretty separated from everyone. And that was a really nice transition because it wasn't as scary as I thought it would be.
I was just going to say it's not as scary as everybody makes it out to be, is it?
No.
I'm actually going to stay with you for a follow-up question there because you brought up a really interesting topic of an AP class your freshman year already. What was that like and what class did you take?
I took AP US History. And like I said, it was difficult, but it was a really nice challenge. And I got to know what it was like to manage my time better and to try to really work hard and study material and prepare myself for exams. So that was really beneficial for me.
Well, good for you taking on that challenge already as a freshman year. So coming back to you, Allie, you're a senior right now. Think back a few years. What was that like transitioning to high school? Was it a lot like what Mackenzie said, or was your experience a little different?
My experience was pretty much the same at Northern. I know it's different for each school, but we can only take one unless you're upper. But you can only really take one AP class, which is AP US History, which a lot of kids do take. And that one is one of the most difficult AP classes that you can take in high school. So, and we're stuck in it as a freshman. So, I mean, it's nice being with all freshmen in that class, but it's definitely difficult and it's way different than middle school. But I would say all of the other classes are similar to middle school. And socially, I think that in high school, it's just a little different because you have your different groups of kids. You have they do get mixed together, but the band kids, they really stick together and they have similarities, and they all have friend groups, which is different than I think middle school. So you definitely will find your group and who you hang out with your freshman year. And it might be different than 8th grade. It might be the same, but I think freshman year, it's definitely different than 8th grade, and you find who you hang out with.
I'm going to take a quick pause there, and just for the audience, because you're in middle school, and for a lot of students that are entering high school for the first time and didn't have siblings that were older, AP classes stands for Advanced Placement Courses. And what that, to generalize what those are, is after completing the course and actually taking a standardized test, you can receive some college credit that can go towards your college degree, whatever that you study. So just wanted to kind of give the audience just a little bit more information on AP classes. Now, Allie, did you take more beyond your freshman year?
Yes, I took, I think 2 my sophomore year, 2 my junior year, and 3 this year. So I think I've taken 8 total, which, I mean, it's been difficult, but I like the challenge. So
yeah, and I'm sure that's going to help next year when we get here later in our conversation,
yes,
talking about graduation and your plans for afterward. So, well, you guys both mentioned sports, but actually when we prepped for this webinar, you guys were just coming from practice together. So,
yeah.
Allie, go ahead and what extracurricular activities, sports or anything were you involved in, throughout your 4 years?
I played volleyball, basketball, and softball, and I was a part of NHS, but just mainly those 3 sports took up most of my time.
Yes, and you played 3 sports for 4 years when you were in high school.
Yes.
Okay. And how about you, Mackenzie? What did you get involved in right away to start your high school years off at?
I played volleyball, softball, I did marching band, and then I did the spring musical.
Oh, wow. So this question is going to go out to both of you, and you can answer, whoever wants to answer it first. That's a lot going on, and I think this is an important topic for the students and families that are here this evening as they go and prepare for high school next fall, is managing, your schoolwork, these activities, life as a teenager, maybe work, a part-time job, other responsibilities. What was it like for you guys with those activities, academics, and basically the whole workload as a whole?
Well, I think it's important to manage your time, definitely. And people do it in different ways. I know my older sister, as soon as she gets her work from school, she'll do everything in one day to not have to worry about it the rest of the week. But personally, I like to split up my work, and if I have a game on a Tuesday and a Thursday, I do more work on Monday, Wednesday, Friday if it's all due on Friday. So I think it's important to find what works for you and roll with that the whole year, or if you find something else works, change into that. But I think it's important to find what works for you to manage your time.
And how about you, Mackenzie? How did you manage with starting off high school with all those activities and all those responsibilities?
I did the same thing that Allie did. I divide my time up. And so, for example, with a push, I would look at how many chapters, how many pages are in a chapter, and I would divide it between 3 days. And one of the really big things that I did that put me at an advantage was I worked ahead. So on the way to a on the way to a volleyball tournament, I would read an entire chapter, and then I didn't really have to worry about as much as the other kids throughout the week when I had, marching band practice and a volleyball game on the same day. So that was a really important thing for me to do.
We'll stay right on the academic topic, and I thank you so much for sharing those tips and advice. I think scheduling, time management is something that can always be talked about and really given to any student, regardless of what they're involved in or what classes they're taking. So this is your opportunity, and we won't tell your teachers, but we can share it to the audience tonight. What's your favorite subject? And, what was some subjects that, not saying it wasn't your favorite, but, just wasn't your strength of your schedule compared to your favorite subject and your favorite classes?
My favorite subject is definitely math, and knowing that definitely helps in choosing your career. But my least favorite subject is science. And knowing that also helps choose a career because I don't want to go into anything in the science fields, but I want to go into something that has something to do with math.
Very good.
My favorite subject is probably either ELA or history. And then my least favorite subject would be math.
Oh, I think that's great because we often talk about this. It is about finding, what subjects that you like. And it's not just saying that you like that class, but that class can actually help lead you to maybe a career interest or you're planning for college education or specific training for after high school. Well, I'm going to go over to some specific questions here for Allie, that are related to your senior year and then planning for afterwards. So you mentioned, you wanted to play college athletics. What are your plans for after graduation this year?
Next year I'm playing basketball at Wayne State University. And I'm majoring in forensic accounting, which, like I said, is math. So.
Very good. And that's a question too we've talked about is, you liked math, you knew you didn't want to go into science, and it's not to find out what you want to do, but also what you don't want to do. What other activities led you to not only this major in this area of study, but also the career path that you chose?
Well, definitely being able to schedule your own classes helps a lot because you get to decide what classes you take and what interests you. And I decided to take AP Statistics last year, which I loved that class, and that helped me gear towards like statistics, something with that. And also I went on a college visit at Davenport, which is mainly business. And they gave me a pamphlet that showed all the majors, and I saw forensic accounting, and that sparked my interest, which helped me plan classes that would test if I liked that or not. So I think just planning your classes helps a ton.
Very good. And I'm going to transition back over to Mackenzie now. We already mentioned that, your older sister is going to play sports, and your older sister actually is at Northwood and also playing college sports. So were you able to kind of see the process of their college planning, and did you visit any schools with your sisters at all?
Yes, I was able to watch them go on, or I was able to watch them make videos to showcase their sports talents, which really helped me. And I have gone to Northwood, and I have gone to Michigan Dearborn.
Very nice. And so what are your plans? Even though it's 4 years away, what are your plans for after graduation?
Well, I want to go to a small college for preferably softball, or maybe something with playing the clarinet. And I want to get a political science degree. And then I want to go to a big school and become a lawyer.
And what are your kind of goals next year, maybe for the next couple of years, to help get you ready for those plans?
Well, I'm going to continue to try my hardest in school, get good grades, take classes that would align with going into political science, and I will continue to work hard in softball. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And I think you brought up something that I actually just wrote down on my notes, is being very strategic. Allie talked about the exploration piece and being strategic with scheduling, and finding out with the AP statistics. Now you're talking about the same thing, but also different strategies aligning your classes to what you want to major in. So I think that's a very good point that you bring up, Mackenzie. So we'll end with my favorite question that we always do with the panels. what's the best piece of advice you would give an 8th grade student that's about ready to enter high school? Mackenzie, since you're the freshman right now, or just about to end your first year, what is the best piece of advice you would give a 8th grade student about to enter high school?
I would probably say just take a deep breath, just relax. It's gonna be fine. I was extremely nervous, especially going to sports and new classes, but everyone is really in the same boat. They're all nervous, and the upperclassmen, especially because I was in band and marching band, are so extremely understanding and nice to you. They've gone through what you've gone through, so just relax. It'll all be fine.
And how about you, Allie?
This might sound simple, but just I would say go to class and do all your work, because I see so many kids just skipping class and not doing their work and wondering why they're struggling. And when you're struggling academically, you're also struggling socially and you don't seem to fit in. So I would just say, do your work, go to class, find a solid group of friends, and don't be afraid to ask questions. All the upperclassmen, if you don't know where a class is, they're all willing to help. So it's really just, like she said, take a deep breath, and everyone's in the same boat.
Well, very good. Thank you so much. We'll come back to you when we get to the question and answer period later this evening. We are now going to move on to our next guest. And if they could start their video, we actually have another set of sisters that are with us here this evening. So we have Jocelyn and Shaylee Sanger that are coming to us from St. Clair High School, and they're all part of St. Clair County Tech program. And I just want to, before we get started here, I just want to give a little bit of information when I say St. Clair County Tech. St. Clair County Technical Center is actually known as St. Clair County Tech, provides 13 career and technical education programs to high school juniors and seniors in St. Clair County. These programs provide opportunities to earn not only high school elective and academic credits, but also college credit and state and national certifications. Typically how this process works is your 10th grade year, students will have visits and presentations from St. Clair County Tech to explore the programs. And so they can actually apply to participate in them for the 1 or 2 year programs or junior and senior year. So just to give a little bit of an overview, we have, once again, a set of sisters, but this set is twins. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. How are you guys doing?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing very well. We're going to keep the sister conversation going right now. And I just wanted to talk to a little bit about both, a lot of questions are going to be to both of you. You are juniors at St. Clair High School and you're currently enrolled at St. Clair Tech. Let's stay right on that topic. What programs are you both enrolled in currently?
I'll go first. Sure. My name is Shaylee and I am enrolled in the CNA health career portion of tech. And what that is at hopefully with COVID, we get our CNA certification, and possibly second year, you can take care of patients and you could start your career as a nurse very early.
Very good. And Jocelyn?
Okay. I'm in health career exploration, so I get to go to the hospital and I get to look at different health careers at the hospital. Like if you want to be a vet, you could do that. You could job shadow a lot of stuff at the hospital, like radiology, x-rays, echo tech, biomed, inpatient and outpatient. So you get to do a lot of stuff that you get to see throughout the hospital through health careers.
Okay. And to stay right on that topic, 2 different topics. You're both sisters. You could have chose the same programs, but how did you each decide what program was right for you? And we'll stay right with you, Jocelyn.
Okay. So I am still very undecided because I don't know what I want to do with my future yet, but I know it's something to do with health careers. So, because my family is my uncle, my grandpa, and my dad were all firefighters. So they're all in the medical field. So I always thought that would be nice to help people in certain ways.
Good. And Shaylee, how about yourself?
I decided to go into the CNA portion because I've known ever since third grade that I wanted to become a nurse. So I thought it would be the perfect opportunity because I got to learn about nursing early, and also if I decided I didn't like it in the future.
Oh, it looks like the audio is cutting out just a little bit. Can you guys hear me now? Kaylee, can you hear me now?
Yeah, sorry, it said
Okay,
that it was
perfect. No, I just want, you had your answer going and it cut out there for a second. So you mentioned if you didn't want to do it in the future, that you kind of had a different plan. Talk to us a little bit more about that.
So basically, I decided to do it because if I decided I didn't want to go into nursing, I'm trying to think where I was starting.
That's very good.
Sorry. But if I decided I didn't want to go into nursing as my future career, now would be the time instead of spending thousands of dollars when during college, then realizing I didn't want to do it anymore.
Okay, yes, thank you so much. We could all, that is such a great point, is, you know, part of scheduling, much of that Allie and Mackenzie talked about, you know, and trying specific classes and pushing yourself in advanced placement classes or these programs, you know, that's part of the exploration piece over these 4 years that you don't have to wait for your senior year to do. So let's go rewind a few years here. You know, you're about to end your junior year and transition to your senior year. You're 8th grade students, you transition into St. Clair High School. You know, what was that transition like for both of you?
It was a little scary. I guess
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared enough. How Mackenzie was saying earlier, I'm in band too, and all the band kids really helped me out. I got to meet a lot of them freshman year of band camp, and they all really helped me out going into high school. But basically, I was not prepared. I struggled a little bit my freshman year, but then I realized that I gotta keep going, and I ended up doing a lot better as the years went on.
Very good. And Jocelyn, how about yourself? How did you make that jump to high school?
To be honest, it was a little scary because it's a new school, it's a new place, there's new people, and you just gotta like try and like you have to be very like ask for help. Like that's definitely like a big thing because I know that like my first time through the high school was a little nerve-wracking, and everyone's so sweet. Like I remember like we were like I'm not in band, but my sister is friends with all of the band people. And like I always ask them for help when I walk through the hallways. So it was a little scary, but once my sister's friends helped me out, I was like perfectly fine.
Well, good. Well, and I think it shows it's been a great transition for you both. So, and we're going to stay right on that topic. You know, what extracurricular activities, sports, etc., clubs have you guys both been participating in over the last few years?
I was a cheerleader my freshman year, and I did student council. Anything else? I can't think of anything else, but yeah, that's mostly what I did. And it was a little hard because my freshman year, I tried to do like a lot of fun activities. And to be honest, like you would like have practice kind of late at night, so you had to try and get all your homework done before. So that's what I kind of like about it, because like you're always busy, and if you like don't have any activities throughout the day, then you just kind of sit. But if you have activities, you try and get all your homework done before you go to practice. So that's what I really liked about it.
Very good. And Shaylee, how about yourself? What else have you, what else has kept you busy? Because I know you're both very busy.
So I was in student council, I was in band, choir, theater. I also work too.
Oh, yes.
So I work about 4 days a week. So it's just all about making sure you figure out what comes first. School always comes first. Just make sure you get your homework done before you do all these extra activities. And if you get all that stuff done, then you'll be fine.
I would like to talk a little bit about, you know, your guys' tech program, you know, and we kind of talked about the transition and you adjusted academically with activities and everything. But we had a great conversation as we were preparing for this evening about actually that decision to enroll at tech, you know, and so that's, you know, on general terms, it's a half a day in a high school, half a day in your local high school, whether it's AM tech or PM Tech. So, talk about your experiences as a sophomore, exploring the programs, and then what it was like to actually sit down and make that decision for your junior year for this year.
I've always known I've always wanted to go to tech. I would bother my counselor like every month and be like, can I please go to tech? I want to go so bad. I want to be a nurse. And I think this spot would be perfect. Yeah, I just was always just like, I really want to go. I was a little hesitant because I'm a very social butterfly. So I love talking to all my friends. And I was only just a little sad because I didn't get to see my friends that much that I'm at tech. But now I've made so many more
My
friends.
whole class is my whole entire friend group now.
I have made so many more friends at tech than I would have at my home school.
Very good. Jocelyn, you made a great point, but I'll ask you to repeat it again. What did you say about your program?
Like what I like.
But
What?
you said that your whole class is your friend.
Yeah, so technically, like, I literally came into tech not knowing a single person, and now my whole entire class, like, we all hang out out of school.
Oh, very nice. So what was that like for you to make that decision? Because, you mentioned you were a little bit of undecided. So
Oh yeah, I was very
what was that
undecided.
process like for you? Yeah.
So like I was talking to my mom about it because I was like kind of stressed because I either want to do cosmetology because my mom was like a hairstylist, or I want to do health career exploration because my mom told me health careers is never going away. So I always wanted to help people. So that's why I picked that program. So that was kind of hesitant. And the thing is that I love high school so much, and it was so hard to like go to a new like place. But it's nice because you get to meet new people and everyone's so sweet at tech. And the only thing that like I could probably like say is that it's okay to try new things because I was so scared to try it, but now I love tech. And with COVID, so me and Shaylee, we're online for our high school classes. So that's like the worst thing ever. But at least we have tech. So I mean, we have tech friends. So
Yeah.
Well, let's stay right there because that was going to be my next question. And for those that at the program, a tech program, you're not always out, in the field, but you're not always in the classroom either. And you guys both right now are in your clinicals, correct?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Today.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit what the clinical experience is like for both of you, where your placement's at and what that's like in terms of your program.
So since I'm in the CNA portion, since we're studying to get our CNA, we have to have clinical experience. So we go to Marwood Nursing Home and we take care of some of the residents. It is very nice. The staff is very nice and the residents are very sweet to talk to. You help take care of them, you do their hair, you do whatever care they need, and you just make them feel better and you socialize with them, and it's just amazing.
And what's it like, what's the course workload look like for your program?
So before we went to clinicals, it was a lot of computer work
And work with mannequins.
and labs for sure. The modules were what you were going to be doing in clinicals. You also studied medical terminology,
a lot of work.
and in the lab, you got to work on mannequins and practice your skills so you can get them checked off. So when you go to Marwood, you can do the skills on a person.
Very good. And Jocelyn, how about yourself? Where are you placed for your clinical experience?
So it changes like so every 2 days we do something different. So like today I did radiology, and like it changes a lot because we go to Lake Huron Medical Center. So we work at a hospital. So we job shuttle people in that field. So my teacher, she places us in different areas that we're allowed to see because some of COVID stuff we can't see, but she just worked around our schedule. So we get to see like stuff that normally people would never see. Like today I saw like the x-ray room, but like it was like a CT. It's like a CT room. So like I would have never guessed that. And I saw cool procedures and like nursing. So it's like really cool because like you get to job shadow people in the hospital and you go like behind the scenes and see what they all do.
Yes, that is great. And it sounds like it's been a great experience for both of you. And next year, you guys will both go into the second year of your program, correct?
Yes.
Hmm.
Very good. Well, I'm going to follow up with my favorite question for both of you. You know, there's so many things you guys have learned and so many things you've experienced and opportunities that you're taking advantage of. You know, what is your best advice for a student about to enter high school?
I would tell them, enjoy it. High school only comes once, and it'll be the best time of your life. But also make sure your school is taken care of, and make sure you're putting school first. And ask for help. People will help you, and do as many things that you can. Like join extracurricular activities, join band. Band is a lot of fun. I enjoy it highly.
In theater, that's a
And
good
theater
one too.
is a lot of fun
I'm
too.
not in theater, but I like watching the plays.
So I would just get involved as many things as you can, and just relax, and everything will be okay.
Jocelyn, do you have any advice for the freshmen about to enter next fall?
Yes, I do. Just like if you need help, don't be afraid to ask, because I know I asked a lot. Like I asked a lot for help, and like don't be embarrassed, because it's really nice when someone helps you. It makes you like feel really good.
Because if you have a question, there's gonna
Yeah,
be
there's like
4
50 other
people who
that have the same question. So it's like good to like ask questions. Like teachers are always sweet and understanding. So like always like, you know, talk to them if you have any problems with anything, and like to like be involved in groups, be social, because like me and Shayla were social butterflies, so we like to talk a lot. So it's like nice to actually have like a group of friends and like different activities.
Thank you so much. I not only for the experiences of a high school junior for our audience tonight, but also the in-depth, you know, feedback and what it's like for a couple different programs at St. Clair County Tech. So we'll come back to you guys later on in the question and answer period if our audience wants to ask anything specifically about what it's like to be a junior or your programs. So next up, we're going to move to another high school senior that we have coming to us from Marysville High School. And we have Evan Woodard with us this evening to finish up his senior year. So Evan, how are you doing tonight?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much. And thanks for joining us. I apologize. I said St. Clair High School, and I know the rivals of Marysville High School, but
That's okay.
all right. Well, Evan, you know, the final days of senior year are approaching. You know, graduation's upon you. What, much like Allie talked about, what are your plans for after graduation?
Next year, I will be going to the University of Michigan, where I'm hoping to study either biology or neuroscience.
Very good. And, you know, U of M going to study, you know, those two majors. What are you hoping those two majors will lead to in your future career goals?
Well, both those classes are more specific to a pre-med type of way. So I'm looking to hopefully go into medical school later in my career.
Okay. And has that been something that you've always been interested in, or what really led you throughout your high school experience to choose that career pathway and that level of post-secondary education after graduation?
Well, I've always been interested in the human body, I guess, and the functionings of it. When I was in elementary school, actually, I was a part of Science Olympiad, and the one section I was in was anatomy. So we were dealing with a lot of the bone structure and the muscle structure of the body. We even got to dissect a cadaver, and I thought that was really cool. So it's just kind of been a culmination over the years of just the science-related studies, I guess.
Well, you know, and I talked about it with our last four guests, to be honest with you, Evan. You know, I talked about experiences, opportunities, you know, exploring through your scheduling and your extracurricular activities. And you hit on a great point. You know, that's kind of led you down the path of your interest in what you're going to do for a future career. Was there anything, you know, anything else, maybe areas of that you didn't like and classes that weren't really your strength that you were considering?
Well, I mean, I've always been strong in math and science. English, I don't really care for as much. Not the best writer, I would say. So, based on that, I've kind of steered toward my strong suits of the science and maths.
Well, staying right on the topic of academics, What was that like as a middle school student transitioning to Marysville High School academically, and then, beyond that, kind of the social aspect and making that transition?
Well, I mean, for most kids, I'm sure like myself, it's a little nerve-wracking coming in. But the main thing is that although you have to manage your time better, the classes are very similar and they're progressing in rigor to accommodate yourself for your future classes. So, I mean, after you get over the fact that you have to plan a little bit more, I would say, than middle school, it was pretty okay, I would say.
Okay. And we talked a little bit about advanced placement classes and or choosing specific classes or technical programs at Tech to study towards your career and college planning. Did you take any AP classes when you were at Marysville High School?
Yeah, my sophomore year I took AP US History. My junior year I took AP Physics, and then this year I'm taking AP Calculus and AP Psychology.
And what were those courses like for you academically?
They're all very challenging in their own unique way. A couple of those classes are more analytical thinking, and some of them are more knowledge-based classes. So, I mean, they all are challenging, but they all provided a great benefit at the end of the challenge.
Very good. Well, to stay right on that topic, about the challenges and balancing and everything is, I know you're really busy. I found that out when we were trying to prep, for our webinar here. What activities, sports or clubs or organizations were you a part of over the last 4 years?
Well, freshman year, I played baseball, basketball, and soccer. And then the next year, I did those same sports besides baseball. I did track. And then the year following, I played football. And then I'm also a member of NHS.
Also, you have 5 varsity letters and
I do.
4-year, 3-sport athlete. How did you balance, the load of, practices and games and travel? And I'm sure you were on sports travel teams and then actually the AP classes and the rest of your caseload, and then just being a teenager himself.
Well, I mean, since you're so busy, you have to plan. You have to plan ahead, and you have to use the time you are allotted to use. If you get distracted and you don't use the instructional times in school or the time you do have at home, you're going to fall behind. So once you make that mistake, it's easy to correct that because you want to stay on top of everything. So I also use lists. I like using lists and crossing stuff out, and that's a really beneficial thing for me to balance all the activities I do.
Oh, Evan, you talked a little bit about your future career goals, being accepted to U of M and heading there next fall. When did you start preparing for college?
Well, 10th grade year, after my track season, I was looking to possibly run track at a college. Then unfortunately, the next year, COVID occurred. So a lot of those opportunities were missed. So although I was looking for a lot of those different schools for track, senior year came and I realized I just wanted to go get a good education. And so I was shifting my focus from an academic and athletic focus to just the academic. And that's when I found Michigan and stuff.
Very good. Well, I think you kind of bring up a great point is, finding what your plans will be based on what you're involved in. And was there any events that you went to outside of high school, or did you do any college visits that were actually on campus, whether it was your senior year or maybe the years before? Or what were the conversations like with your family when you had to decide that you were going to attend U of M?
Well, like I said, since COVID happened, I wasn't able to visit any campuses in person like I would have liked, but there were virtual options for the various schools I was looking into. And then I was narrowing it down throughout the junior to senior year summer, and then the beginning of senior year, I've been narrowing it down, evaluating what would be best for me academically, economically, and just in terms of my future goals. So after I had narrowed that down, I was able to put the top 2 schools next to each other and talk to my parents about what one would be best.
And we talked a lot about experiences, activities, getting yourself involved. how important was that when it came to college applications, especially the one for U of M, college scholarships, in this whole process itself?
Can you repeat that real quick?
Just about, playing sports, staying busy, staying strong academically. What was, how did that play into your college application process and give you kind of the materials that you need, and even, applying for scholarships to help pay for college as well?
Well, I guess scholarship committees and colleges, they all want to see an individual who is diverse in many different activities, someone who's been involved in different groups and can relate to different types of people. So drawing from different types of sports and different activities has allowed me to develop myself as a person, and then I can relate that to the people that are looking at your resume, I guess.
Well, that's great. And I'm going to follow that up, Evan, with the question I've asked, the panelists earlier today. We talked on a lot of great things about, what it was like to adjust, what you got involved in, but, what would your advice be based on what you just said about applying to U of M and being accepted to U of M, and, and graduating, high school, moving on to where you'd like to go for your career? What would your advice be for an 8th grade student that would like to attend college, after 4 years of high school?
One of the most important things I would say is that it seems like when you come in that everyone cares what you're doing. You're very conscientious of what other people think of you. But I would say that if you just focus on yourself, you can realize that everyone else is thinking the same thing. So you can approach things in a relaxed manner and just focus on yourself.
Very good. Well, Evan, I'm also going to move over to another senior that we have, but we have some questions for both of you here, a little bit in the question and answer period too, especially about what it's like to be a senior. So I'm going to quickly move over to her, and then we'll come back to you just a few minutes after that. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right. Next up, we have another senior that's joining us from Marine City High School, Cassie Gayton, that's about to finish up her senior year. Cassie, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's good to see you again. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm good. Thank you so much, Cassie. Cassie, much like Evan and Allie, this graduation is approaching. What's the plans for after leaving Marine City High School?
I'm going to Grand Valley State University. I'm going to study nursing with a minor in Spanish in the fall.
Okay. And as much as the career and college exploration process, gets you to this point, how did you choose this career path, and what activities may have led you to that point?
Well, growing up in middle school and high school, I was so set on going to medical school and becoming a doctor. And after this year, on all my college applications, I put pre-med. I was set on being a doctor. And then after I was kind of exploring colleges more, I realized I do not want to do that at all. So I did switch over to nursing. It's still in the health field. So I knew I would like probably either of them, but for my personality, I thought nursing was a better fit. But I've always liked the human body, anatomy, and healthcare.
Were there any classes that you took throughout high school that were aligned with this career pathway that you chose, and maybe reaffirm that this is the area of study that you'd like to go after high school?
Yeah, I took anatomy last year. Unfortunately, it was cut short when we got sent home, but I loved anatomy, and I knew anatomy and physiology. I just knew that it was the right choice for me.
Very good. And Cassie, you're on the panel this evening, but you're no stranger to the BWCAN events. I know you've been on a lot of our webinars getting ready for graduation this year. You've been at our events before when they were in person. A great conversation talking about, what the nursing, and one of our panelists. Talk to us a little bit about that, because I think what's very important is that as a high school student that you get out and you explore and you attend these events, and how that actually helped with your decision to go into nursing.
Yeah, the day actually I decided that, oh, maybe I want to switch to nursing, I had went on one of the panels. It was the career panel, and they had you had a nurse there talking about it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's more along what I wanted to do. But really just doing anything like career panels or just preparation, anything like that, you will start to see like things that you want to do, and more importantly things that you don't want to do, because you can just eliminate things right off the list. Like I knew, like I hate like geology, I'm not going to be a geologist. So once you start crossing those things off the list, you kind of get like a category that you want to go into, and you can more specifically look at them.
Staying right on that topic, and I asked Evan and Allie this as well, and you mentioned you always wanted to go to medical school and be a doctor. Part of that is going to college after graduation, because that level of degree and education that's required for that career pathway. When did you start preparing to go to college and get accepted to Grand Valley State University?
I started preparing kind of when my brother was actually applying to college. So I was a sophomore when he was graduating. And so with him doing the whole process, I started like looking into it just because I got eager, and I'm glad I did it when I did, just because then I started making a list of the schools I wanted to further look into or go and tour. And then my junior year was more of the academic preparation, like with studying for the SAT and stuff like that. And then during this past summer going into my senior year, that is when I started applying for the colleges that I was looking into.
Good. And, to get back to the schoolwork a little bit, what was that like transitioning to high school your freshman year, and how did you manage your school workload and life as a teenager and activities that you were involved in?
I came into freshman year. I didn't really know what I was going to do. I was like a 3-sport athlete all throughout middle school. And then I went into high school sports and I absolutely hated it. So I stopped playing sports. And from there, I was really lost. But then I got really involved. So I did like drama all 4 years, student government all 4 years, NHS, a couple like student advisory boards, stuff like that. And I really love doing all of that. So with those and academics, you really just have to balance your time. But when you do get involved, you realize more of what you do like to do. Yeah.
Very good. Well, staying right on that topic a little bit, what was your favorite subject that you took in the 4 years when you were at Marine City High School?
I've always liked anatomy. That was my favorite class ever. I've always liked math because I've been good at it. Actually, my math teacher this year is Allie and Mackenzie's dad. And last year.
Very good. It's a small world.
Yeah.
Well, at least you're not going to answer this question with them on here. What's your least favorite subject, or a subject that you knew you just wasn't going to lead you to your career in college planning for after graduation?
English for sure. I've never been good at it, and except I did push myself. Like I took AP language junior year, and just because I wanted the credits, because I did not want to take English in college.
Oh, very good. Well, I asked Evan this too, and your senior year, you do college applications, you apply for financial aid, you do scholarships. What was that process like your senior year? And talk about how the years before that, your freshman, sophomore, and junior year, actually help with that process.
Applying for college and scholarships is almost like a part-time job. It's a lot of work. But I really prepared myself. I think Evan said this, where colleges do look for a very well-rounded person with different activities, different leadership skills, good academics, and just someone that they can count on to contribute to their school. So getting involved definitely helped, being with the application process. And it does seem scary and it does seem like a lot of work, but someone once said that if you spend an hour on a application for a scholarship and you get $1,000, that is $1,000 per hour that you worked, rather than your minimum wage job where you're making like $10 an hour.
That's very good advice. Thank you so much, Cassie, because it's very important, especially when it comes to the topic of and Evan talked about this too, you know, the financial side of selecting the career in college path for you after graduation, because there's many, you know, it's not just going to a four-year university, you know, there's selecting maybe a community college right away, maybe going to a trade school to get a credential or a certificate, or going to a four-year degree and then maybe beyond that for a grad program. You know, talk to me a little bit about that conversation and what that process looked like. And, you know, did somebody help you, you know, work through this process? Because we often say the conversation needs to start, and it needs to start early.
Yeah, so I watched my brother do all the scholarship applications, and that is more stressful than college applications, in my opinion, because you want to go into college with as much money as you can get, and that comes from usually your first year. And so when I was doing this, my mom actually helped a lot. She said, prepare early, start preparing early. So during quarantine, I started typing up just basic application essays. You can look at the Common App. They release their essay questions super early, or they use a lot of ones from past years too. And if you just start making some essays that go to a lot of these applications, you will find that all the applications have very similar topics, and you can just start copying and pasting, and it goes by super fast.
Very good. Well, I'm going to keep right on the topic of advice. What is your best advice based on the last 4 years that you've spent in high school and you're preparing to go on to the college at Grand Valley that you could give the current 8th grade students and their families that are in the audience this evening, and anybody that views this recording in the future?
The best piece of advice I have is that nothing is a waste of time, even if you hate doing it. Like I said, I loved doing athletics in middle school. I started freshman year and I hated it, but then I realized I'm not going to spend my time doing that the rest of the year. I'm going to find something else to get involved in. And that led me down the path of what I really like to do. Or I do remember that at one point I did want to be an engineer and I didn't want to do the medical field anymore. So I took 2 engineering classes, and right out of them, I was like, that was a complete waste of time. But looking back, it is not a waste of time, because I got to see that I don't like those, like, I don't want to do that. And like, I don't want to take any more of those classes.
Well, thank you so much, Cassie. We're getting towards the end of the evening right here, and I'm going to open up the question and answer period based on what we had. I know we talked about a lot. We talked about a lot of topics ranging from 3 seniors that are about to graduate to 2 juniors in a tech program, and even a high school freshman as she transitioned this year to high school and is completing her first year. So if any of the audience would like to ask questions, you can enter it down into the chat feature at the bottom of your screen, and we can direct it to a panelist, or we'll throw it out to the whole panel. So we'll just give you a brief moment here. Feel free to ask any questions, and then we'll read them out to the audience. All right. Well, sometimes we have a little bit of a lag. Oh, looks like one's coming in through here. So it looks, oh, it was actually a direct, so the audience can't see it. So this is for the band students. I do winter guard, and I'm planning to go into color guard as well, and marching band. How do I perform on the field and do color guard? So it looks like they're planning to do marching band and color guard at the same time. So I'm going to throw this out to the Sanger sisters, because I know that they're in band, and then Mackenzie as well, if you'd like to chime in with a little bit of the band experience. So looking to do color guard, looking to do marching band. Any advice for our student this evening?
My advice is, my school, we don't have color guards.
I wish we did. I would join that.
But basically, during the concert season, you will be playing your instrument in like concert band. But when we have marching season, I know from other schools, you would go out in the field and you would do color guard. It's like separate, but you would still get to be in marching band, but during concert season, you would be playing with the band.
Good.
At Northern, where I go to, we have color guard, and as far as I know, yeah, it's just for, you can't play your instrument in marching band and do color guard. You can only play your instrument in concert band, unless, you know, you're playing an instrument in marching band. So that's as far as I know.
Well, thank you so much for that information. I'm even learning a little something myself about band and what it's like, you know, to manage what you would like to do as you're preparing your schedule as a high school freshman. So what I'm going to do now is this is going to conclude our event, and I'm going to wrap up the evening with a little bit more of a presentation on some information for the audience. So as I mentioned, this really concludes this evening's webinar. Next week, we'll be publishing the 8th grade summer checklist to help students and their families and guide them through the next few months and transition next fall based on a lot of the topics that we discussed this evening. For more information and resources to support your career and college planning over the next 4 years, you can visit the BWCAN website at www.bwcan.org, where you can find not only the recording of this webinar, as well as the complete fall, winter, and spring essentials series. Also with every other planning topic that you need and resources as well. Here's an example. This is actually from the page that has the webinar recordings. We had 10 of them throughout the school year this year. This was the one that we did a few weeks ago for our current juniors, and welcome to your senior year of high school. You can also follow us through social media. These are our tags. What we do on these is we put out important updates, information, and we'll also be releasing the 2021 and 21 events and resources that will be published next fall. We also have a BWCAN monthly newsletter that you can subscribe to, both students and families, to receive important information and updates from St. Clair County, RESA, BWCAN, and our community and state partners. Many high schools in St. Clair County actually have high school advisors. These are our 5 high school college advisors that are working in our local high schools to advise senior students, but they do not only work with senior students, they also work with freshmen, sophomores, and juniors to help support their career and college planning throughout the year. These are a tremendous resource for all of our students and families. This is a tremendous resource for yourself to maybe schedule an appointment with them next fall or maybe next winter, as well as reach out and get to know your school counselors and who will be helping you over the next 4 years. At the end of the evening, we are pleased to announce that each member of the audience this evening will be receiving a BWCAN College Swag Bag that is sponsored by our amazing partners at the Community Foundation of St. Clair County to help get you started next fall. We put a link in the chat that you can see right now. Please click on this link and bring that up before we end here in the next minute or so at the bottom of your screen, so you can enter some information and receive yours in the coming weeks. Last but not least, I'd like to throw out a very special thank you to all 6 high school students that are here this evening. We know that this has been a challenging year as we work out of the pandemic. And here we are in probably the busiest time of the school years. We end this for not only our seniors, but our juniors and our freshmen and panelists. And we know taking time out of your very, very busy schedules, all the extracurricular activities you have, and your academic workloads, that we cannot thank you enough for taking your time to help transition this new class into high school next fall. Thank you for joining us. To the audience, we look forward to working with you over the next 4 years as we continue your career and college planning, and seeing you next fall at some of our events. I'm Nick Bouger from St. Clair County, RESA. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.